Friends who have joined in our audience, we are so glad that you're here. We have set this up as a webinar, but there will be ways to interact, to ask questions, and to get answers. We're thrilled that you're joining us. Thank you for making time on a Thursday evening to hear the lessons that we've learned and the things that we'd like to share. Tonight, what you can expect is that we're going to do some brief introductions with all of our panelists. You're going to meet my friends Trevor and Haley from our church family at Calvary Church, and then some friends from throughout the area at different colleges. Once we have made introductions, Trevor and Haley are going to share their respective experience with the college admissions process, and I'm really excited for that because I remember going through the college phase and not having a clue what to do. Before we started, I was confessing all the things that I didn't know that cost me a whole lot of money, probably a little anxiety and some time as well. And so through the lessons that we've all learned, I'm really excited to bring some wisdom to the process. I think that that is the most important thing any of us can gain, along with a little bit of skill that will go a long way. And I hope for each of you attending tonight that you also feel like you have resources and people that you can ask questions of along the way. So my name's Dan. I am the Next Gen pastor here at Calvary Church, and what I'm passionate about is young people having great experiences that build and build and build to the point that they have great lives. And this falls right in line with things that I care deeply about. So I am so grateful to every person on this panelist group that has given their time and their energy to this. After we go through this presentation, we're going to hear from each of the colleges about their respective schools. And then following that, there will be a time for question and answer. So at the bottom of everybody's screen, or if you're on mobile, tap your screen, you will see a Q&A button. If you click on the Q&A button, you can ask at any point tonight a question that we will hopefully make time for to answer later. I'll be moderating those. I'll be looking for common themes when we get to that part of the night. But the best way that we can have a good Q&A at the end is as you think of a question, again, hit the button Q&A. And then go ahead and fire off your question, and I'll see it. If I can't get to yours, I apologize in advance, but I'm super excited to hear the things that you're interested in, and hopefully we can help in there. Following the webinar, we will be sending out a link to YouTube with the recording that any of you are more than welcome to share, as well as a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation that is being displayed. The last thing I'd like to say is on the heels of that, we are recording tonight, so nobody in the audience is being recorded. We appreciate your participation, but we have set this up so that only the panelists are recorded, which I believe keeps everyone's privacy relatively safe. In the Q&A time, I'll only use the name that's provided. That's all I have access to. That is all of my stuff to get us started. I'd really like to introduce you to Trevor and Haley. Each of these amazing people came to me at different times in recent history and said, hey, I have a job that puts me in touch with people that are wanting to attend college, and I am passionate about helping them. Is there anything we can do? And this webinar is what came out of that. So guys, thank you. Thank you for your perseverance, for sticking with this idea through COVID. Let me turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It makes me so happy to see all of you here. I am currently an admissions counselor at Lindenwood University. I've been in admissions for a little over 4 years. I was previously at WashU, and I just could not imagine being in any other field. I love it so much. I'm a first-gen college student, and I was also a low-income student, so I really get how intimidating this process can be, and I just want to help students get to where they want to be. So I'm really excited for tonight. I will do a lot of talking, so I do apologize, but I'll turn it over to Trevor.
Thank you, Haley. As Haley said, my name is Trevor. I'm Trevor Wolf. I am a counselor at Francis House Central. I have been in this role for around 20 years. So very passionate about that, like Dan said. I currently have a senior in high school and a freshman in high school. So I am embarking on kind of the other side. I've always been on this side of the desk, so I'm experiencing some of those thrills and anxieties that maybe some of you guys are going through, and I'll use some of those examples tonight in my presentation. I got to where I am. I went to 2 years. I went to community college for 2 years. Just got a general business administration degree. Really didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Transferred to UMSL and changed my degree from business to education. So a 4-year degree turned into a 5-year degree because I really just didn't have much direction and didn't have someone in my corner just kind of steering me. So hopefully from tonight, you can gather some information that can help you at least go down the right path if you have not started, and some resources, some people to help support you through that process, because it can be daunting. It's always good to have resources. So we hope we can help you with that tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce my first friend who's with us tonight, Mr. Jamar Washington from St. Charles Community College. Jamar, when you introduce yourself, would you please also share with everyone your school's mascot?
Hey everyone, as Trevor said, my name is Jamar Washington. I serve as an admissions recruiter at St. Charles Community College, which is pretty local. Everybody kind of knows where St. Charles is. And the mascot for St. Charles Community College is the Cougars. So we are home of the SEC Cougars.
All right, thank you, Jamar. All right, Colton Hernandez from Missouri Baptist. And Colton, remind everyone what your mascot is also.
Hey guys, my name is Colton Hernandez. I'm Missouri Baptist University. Our school mascot is the Spartan. So we have Spartacus as our official school mascot. So go Spartans.
Thanks, Colton. All right, next up is Tim Eggleston from Mizzou. And Tim, remind everyone your mascot.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim Eggleston. I'm the St. Louis Regional Admissions Rep for the University of Missouri, and we are the Tigers.
The Tigers. All right. And finally, from Lindenwood University, Ben Carroll. And Ben, remind us what your mascot is.
Hey everyone, thanks for being here. Again, my name is Ben Carroll. I am with Lindenwood, and we are the Lions, formerly known by Leo the Lion.
All right, thanks guys. Okay, we're going to move into our next slide. All right. Options after high school. Like to break down to families for students that are going to college. It kind of is broken down, and I mentioned earlier, I went the 2-year route and then a 4-year. So a lot of our students have the opportunity to either go to a 2-year school or a 4-year school. So typically when we're talking about a 2-year school, we're talking about an associate's degree. So when you're talking about 2 years an associate's degree, that costs typically, and here locally, a lot of our students go to St. Charles Community College. That is about a $4,000 cost to go to the community college for 2 years. And that is just for tuition. Typically those students would stay home for the room and board part of that, although St. Charles Community College does have a room part of that, and maybe Jamar is going to speak about that when he has an opportunity to talk to later. So just kind of differentiate between the two. When we start talking about a 2-year school, it costs about $4,000 a year to go there. Or you could go for free if your student is eligible for the A+ scholarship. And if families out there do not know what A+ scholarship is, in a nutshell, if a student graduates with a 2.5 grade point average, does 50 hours of community service and has good attendance, they are typically eligible for free 2 years at the community college, and that's called an A+ scholarship. So please reach out to your school if you've not heard about A+ and make sure your student is on track for that to possibly get that first 2 years of community, or first 2 years of college, specifically at the community college, paid for free. So a lot more of our students are taking advantage of that every year. So make sure you're aware of that community college is about $4,000 a year. You slide down the slide a little bit. The 4-year, so we know that about here at Francis House Central, about 65% of our students are going straight to the 4-year college, all right? And that's a student that's going to go there typically for 4 years and get a bachelor's degree. And as they're at that 4-year school, those 4-year experiences can be broken down into a public or a private institution. Typically a public institution for room, board, and tuition, you're looking at about $20,000 a year. And then for a private school, somewhere around $27,000, $28,000, $29,000 and up, depending on the size of the school. Lots of things go into that cost, but just a comparison between a public and a private. Typically, the face value is the public is a little bit cheaper. Not saying that a private can't bring down those costs to a public school education based off some of the resources that they have, but typically, once again, a private, the sticker price is a little bit higher, but at times they are able to get that down to a public cost. And maybe some of our private friends will talk about that tonight. So once again, just kind of differentiated between a 2-year degree and a 4-year degree and what a typical cost may be. All right. Next slide. So doing your research, how is your student going to try to conquer finding the right school? On this page, we've got a number of tools that we encourage families, students, or a combination of the two to use as you're trying to pare that down. When I'm working with students, I always try to tell them, come into your senior year with it narrowed down to about 3 to 5 schools. And how do you do that? Once again, this page goes into a little information about that. The first one is connect with your college and career counselor. I can tell you here specifically at Francis House Central, we have a counselor that specifically does college and career counseling. We are very fortunate to have that. More and more schools are kind of jumping on board with that. So if your school has a college and career counselor, make sure you find out who that is and how they can help support you. College and university websites is a great way to gather information as far as costs, scholarships, what their population is, what type of majors they have. So just getting onto those websites is a great way to start gathering information. High school visits. This year, high school visits are happening virtually, just like this webinar is. Last year, when a high school visit by definition meant college A would physically come onto campus. A student would sign out of an hour to come down and talk to that counselor at the school. That is not happening this year. So more virtual visits are happening. So once again, kind of talk to your counselor, whether it's your alphabet counselor or your college and career counselor, find out how you're able to sign up for those virtual visits. College fairs is also another great way. College fairs typically have anywhere up to 50 to 60 to 70 colleges there. Pre-COVID, you would walk around a gym and gather information and kind of help decide what school you might want to invest a little bit more time into. Now our college fairs this year are virtually. Many schools are starting to advertise or market those when those college fairs are. So once again, make sure you're in contact with your counselor to find out when those virtual college fairs are. On-campus visits. You know, I can't sell on-campus visits enough. You know, a lot of our students just pick schools because maybe their neighbor went there or someone down the street said it's a good school. The analogy when I'm talking to families is, you know, when you're out buying a new car, do you just buy the first car you get into or do you test drive it? It's the same example I give to families when trying to get your college down to 3 to 5 choices. Get on those campuses, guys. Those campuses are starting to open. So it's much easier to get on those campuses and do those college visits. But make sure you check with those colleges, make sure they have campus visits. But it's a great way to give those schools a test drive to see if that feel is the right for you as a student or the family, if they feel that's the right feel. So getting onto those campuses, I can't emphasize that enough. Do everything you can. Sometimes you're able to do that during the school week. Sometimes you're able to do that maybe during a fall break or the weekend. I know colleges prefer you do that during the week because there's more students on campus, but sometimes that doesn't happen with our students' packed schedule. So sometimes it has to happen on the weekend, but always try to maybe do it during the school week first so you just get a better flavor of the campus. The next one, I am a big proponent of schools interest inventory. I can tell you a lot of students are told about these inventories. A lot of times I could just, being in the business, know that they don't do those inventories. When I'm in an inventory, typically that means a student would go online and answer some questions about their interest, some of their personality traits, and from that, students are able to get a wealth of information about colleges that would meet their needs, how much it costs to go to that college, where's that college located. It's just a ton of information, but the roadblock is students don't want to put that time into it. They just want a college to be chosen for them. So the 2 examples that are on the screen there, the school inventories here in the Francis House School District, we have an inventory called SCORE. I can't emphasize that enough. I'll reference my senior daughter. She thought she wanted to go into education previous to taking our SCORE test here at Francis House Central. She put about an hour and a half, so students are gonna have to put some time into it, whatever the inventory is. And really, number 17 was education. The top 16 were health related. So she has changed her whole career direction before she even got to college. So that's a benefit. She saved possibly some time and money that she put some time on the front end. And now she's exploring a lot of careers that have to do more with math and science in the healthcare career field, as opposed to at one time we thought she was going to go down the education field. So I can't stress enough, families, students, and parents, find out what your school's interest inventory is. Once again, the Francis Howell School District uses a score. I believe Fort Zumwalt uses Missouri Connections. Find out how to use those and really encourage your student to take some time, invest in time into those inventories. You're going to get a wealth of information from those. So I can't emphasize using those interest inventories enough, because your schools have those. Just reach out to your counselors and find out what they are in your school building. All right, I'm going to turn over to Haley to talk about the last 2 bullet points.
All right, so think of US News rankings and niche as kind of like going to it. You can filter down to exactly what you're looking for. You can filter by what type of school you're looking for, what programs are important to you, pricing. You can put in your SAT or ACT score, how far or close it is from home. And these will really filter out colleges that don't match what you're looking for. And they're both really great resources if you don't even know where to start. I also really, really want to reiterate how important it is to visit schools. It really can change your whole perception of a school by being on that campus. And right now, with a lot of things being moved virtually, take advantage of that. Visit a school that is across the country that you never would have visited before, but take advantage of all the things virtually that are going on. All right, next slide. All right, so now that you've done your research, it is so important to pick the right fit and hone in on that research that you've done. I'm going to spend a little time talking about this because I feel like finding your fit is so important. You know that, like, when you go buy a new, I'm probably just making this analogy for girls, but when you go buy a new outfit and it fits so perfectly and you're like, I could conquer the world. Well, that's really how your college experience should be. It should fit you perfectly. And everyone's college search is going to be very individualized. So what could be a good fit for you may not work for your best friend or a sibling or a cousin. But your college search process is your own, so don't feel like you have to go to the same school as your best friend. It really is about what works best for you. So the 3 most important components of fit are academic, social, and financial fit. The academic fit is just that. It's the academics. Does the school offer the major and minors that you're interested in studying? Make sure to also ask yourself, how do you want to study? Are there resources for students who may be struggling? Do they have tutoring services? Can you study abroad, and how easy can it be? Also, academic fit is twofold. So you want to make sure that that school fits you academically, but you also want to make sure that you have the profile that fits that school. You want to make sure to take a look at their freshman profile. And if you're not familiar with that term, it really is just a way for us as an institution to tell you what the averages are of that first year class that's entering. It covers ACT scores, race, average SAT score, GPA, those certain things that really form that first year class. And you can typically find that on a school's website. But these are the types of students that particular school is looking for. Now, of course, there are institutions that have a holistic admissions process, so it isn't always about the numbers, but they do play a role in the decision-making process. In holistic admissions, the reps that are making these decisions, they are looking at a lot more than just test scores and GPA, but make sure that you do pay attention to those minimum scores if they have them, because they will be a good gauge for whether that school could be a good fit for you. All right, so social fit. Social fit is also a key element when choosing the right school. And this is when you as the student really get to craft the type of college experience that you are looking for. So when you're looking at the social fit, ask yourself, do you want a big school or a small school? What types of clubs and organizations do you want to be a part of? 80%, a lot of people don't realize this, but 80% of your college experience is actually spent outside of the classroom. So you can really see why that social aspect of a college campus is so important. You want to ask yourself, what is the campus culture like? Is it competitive? What does that school value, and do they match the values that you have? Then there's a financial fit. And this is always the biggest determining factor for students, and it was for me, especially as a low-income student. And prices of institutions are so intimidating, and Trevor talked a little bit about that. But they can be, you look at the price and you're like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. It's too much. But I really, really want to steer you away from going to a college's website and getting sticker shock at a school's price. Because as Trevor mentioned too, that school may cost $40,000 to $50,000 a year, but they also may meet demonstrated need, or they offer really generous scholarships and grants. There are even some schools that offer no loan packages for students depending on their income. So again, do your research. Don't just get sticker shock whenever you look at a school's website. Working in admissions, I feel that the most underutilized resource on a college campus is student financial services. Use them. Talk to them. When you visit a school, set up a meeting with a student financial service rep and just talk through your finances with them. They can really work with you, especially if your family has special circumstances that the FAFSA doesn't necessarily ask you about. So really look into those scholarships and those grants. And I can guarantee you that you will be surprised at a lot of schools whenever you start talking finances. And also students, it is really important though to have those financial conversations with your family up front, because their finances play a huge role in what you can afford for school. So make sure that you do have that conversation. It's very, very important. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so I gave you a lot of information. I'm going to go through this really quickly so Trevor can talk some more. But now that you've kind of have the process of finding your fit, it's important to know what schools are looking for when you start applying. So four-year institutions are going to look at your high school transcripts. They're going to look at your GPA and sometimes your class rank to see that you are academically fit to be at their institution. And they're looking to see that you have 4 years of English and 4 years of math, 3 to 4 years of science and social studies, and at least 2 years of foreign language. And they're also going to look at your standardized testing. Trevor will cover this more in depth in a second, but they just want to make sure that, again, that you are academically capable of doing the work that's on their campus. Next slide. And then they're also, sometimes schools will request a resume from you, or they'll have you list your extracurricular activities. This is really a way for them to see how you're spending your time outside of the classroom. When schools ask for this, put anything on here besides eating, sleeping, and going to school, unless you're in an eating, sleeping, and going to school club, of course, put that on there. But this is not just a place for sports or school clubs. It really is a place for that as well, but also church activities. If you're taking care of your siblings, if you have a job, they really, really want to know just how you are spending your free time. And then also there's going to be some applications or in the process, they may ask for a personal statement, personal essay, recommendations. Make sure, as an admissions rep, my favorite part of the admissions process is reading these applications, because for me, it was the first time that I really got to hear a student's voice. So make sure that you're being genuine and that you're telling your story. When we're going through this process as admissions reps, we are learning about you really through piles of paper. But when you get the opportunity to provide a personal essay or a personal statement, just really be genuine and be yourself here. Also make sure it's been reviewed. And then when it does come to letters of recommendation, make sure that you are giving your teachers and counselors enough time to write them, right, Trevor? And keep in mind that they are writing more than just yours. So please give them time to write them. Don't ask them the night before and say, hey, by the way, I need that tomorrow. And then also when you're picking teacher recommendations, pick someone who can really speak to your character and someone that you have a good relationship with. Okay, so like I said, I've talked way too much. So Trevor, it's all you.
All right, thank you, Haley. Next slide, please. Okay, Haley talked a little bit about standardized test scores, and we're in a unique time now with COVID, and it's kind of in my college friends, and Haley, when she talks to the last bullet point here in a second, can talk about that a little bit more detail. But when I say times are a little bit different, you hear the word test optional only. So some of our schools, now once again, I don't want to take all of Haley's time, but some of our schools are not requiring you to have ACT test scores or SAT test scores, but in a normal year or schools that are accepting them, what you see in front of you is a typical, what we call sliding scale. In the years past, when we give these presentations, we would say school A or B has a sliding scale, but nothing for a family to reference. So I like this slide in the sense that it shows you a sliding scale. You can see if an ACT score is lower, then the grade point average has to be higher, and vice versa. If the ACT score is higher, then the grade point average can be a little bit lower. So when we talk about sliding scales, colleges a lot of times will use that as far as admission. And students, I will tell you here at Francis House Central, I'd say 95 ACT. So that's why the ACT scale is up there. We do have a handful that take SAT. And there are scales that compare an ACT and SAT score, so you're not out in left field if you just take the SAT. But once again, most of our students do take the ACT. So I thought it was important to kind of give you a visual when you hear the word sliding scale, what a typical sliding scale would look like, okay? And then once again, schools, in the old days, only schools in the Midwest would take the ACT, and schools on the East and West Coast would take the SATs. Well, that is evolved, that has changed. For the most part, every school is accepting either an ACT or an SAT, and with each test having a little different flavor to them. So your student, for the most part, can take either one of those tests, and I've even encouraged students to maybe even try the SAT, even though we're an ACT school, try it. You may score higher on it, and ultimately a college is going to take your highest score, whether it's an ACT or an SAT. So I threw a lot of acronyms out at you there, but just know they can take either score, and there's an example of what a sliding scale would look like. I'm going to turn over to Haley real quick, and she's going to go in a little bit more detail when I reference test optional. If you're not real sure what that is, kind of what we're going through now with the test optional opportunity.
Yeah, so test optional policy, you will probably see a lot more this year, just with COVID and everything going on. But this is giving students the opportunity to decide whether or not they think their test scores represent them well. And if you want to provide them to the institution as part of the evaluation process for admission, this is really where it's important to know those average test scores of schools or what their minimum test scores are. So if you get a 17, but their average is a 23, it's probably better to choose test optional. But this is a good thing to talk through with your admissions counselor at that school or with your high school counselor to see what would be the best route for you. Okay, Trevor.
All right, next slide. All right, if you're a parent, you're sitting there going, all right, Trevor, what do I need to be doing now on September 24th? Well, this slide does a great job of just kind of giving you a visual. In a perfect scenario, this is what it would look like. And whenever I meet with my students, whenever I meet with them, talk about college, I'd always draw a picture of a turkey on there. And I'd say, do you know what this is? And they'd go, no, you're a horrible drawer. And I said, well, it's a turkey. And what I wanted to do is make them smile a little bit, loosen things up. But I was referencing really all of your college stuff should be out of your house by Thanksgiving. It's a good reference point of when you should really be done with the college. All your applications should be done. If you're applying for any scholarships, that should all be done. And this slide references that in the sense between August and December. That's when you're doing your visits and research and really push and send on those applications. And the reason being, a lot of schools have a December 1st deadline if your student's going to be eligible for any automatic scholarships. So that's why that December 1st, end of November is so very important. If your student is eligible for a scholarship, but they turn their application in January, you're possibly running the risk of maybe not getting that scholarship money that would have been eligible for if they would have just turned it in 4 to 6 weeks earlier. So please pay attention to that as far as getting everything out of your house by Thanksgiving, okay? The next thing on there is the FAFSA form. So the FAFSA form is the free financial aid form that you as a family will complete to see if you're eligible for any loans, which you would pay back, grants, which you would get money free, or work study. So you would maybe work for Missouri Baptist in the library, and they would pay you to work 15 hours a week that would help defer your costs. So the FAFSA form, if you have a first-time student, once again, a FAFSA form that you complete will make you eligible for loans, grants, or work study. And that's a form that has become easier over the years. It used to be paper pencil. Now, if you complete your taxes online, you can use the data retrieval form. And once again, this will be my first year doing that, but I've been told that a FAFSA form can be completed in 20 to 25 minutes. In the old days when it was paper and pencil, it was like maybe an hour. So they've really pared that down to a more manageable number, especially if you can use the data retrieval tool if you've did your taxes last year electronically. And that can be done October 1st. So October 1st on is the first day that you can complete the FAFSA form. What you can do prior to October 1st, so what you could actually do tonight or this weekend, a parent and a student need to complete an FSA ID. And there's going to be a resource at the end that tells you how to do that or what website you're going to go to. Basically, that's your electronic signature every year that you complete the FAFSA. And schools will want you to complete the FAFSA every year. So it's an easier way to get into your FAFSA form every year from the parent standpoint and the student standpoint. So once again, the FSA ID you can do now. You have to do that before you complete the FAFSA form. And the first day you can complete the FAFSA form is October 1st. So hopefully that makes sense. And if I went too fast, just shoot another question out and ask that again. But yeah, October 1st is a big day completing that FAFSA form. As you move down, the third picture there talks about November to March. That's when you're going to start getting your award letters. That's when you're going to be starting getting information from school saying, hey, congratulations, you're now a Tiger. You're now a Spartan. You're now a Cougar. Here's some additional paperwork for you to fill out. And oh, by the way, we're going to probably ask for a deposit on housing if you're going to stay on campus. So that's the first time they're going to want some money from you. So those start rolling around between November and March. And then come early spring, early summer, that's when you start registering for classes, and next fall will be here that fast. So this year is going to go super quick, no doubt about it. Just kind of in your mind, just having in your head, you want everything out of your house by Thanksgiving and start completing that FAFSA form. The quicker you complete your FAFSA form, typically the quicker you're going to get your financial aid statement back from your colleges. So that's kind of a motivator to complete that FAFSA form as soon as to October 1st as you can. Okay, next slide, please. And as I spoke about earlier, here are some of the resources. The first resource under scholarship, when I'm speaking with students, I always encourage students to do local scholarships first. So that stlouisgraduates.org is definitely, those are scholarships your students who would be competing against, whether it's in your district, in the Midwest, the state of Missouri. So your competition level is not going to be quite as stiff. So I always encourage students to start with your local scholarships first. Also, which is not on here, but I would always encourage you to each school is going to have probably their own scholarship page. So figure out how to find out your scholarship page at your student's high school. And FastWeb, Merit Aid, and Financial Aid, those are all national scholarships. So you would be competing against people nationally. Still encourage families to do that, but I always say put your time and energy first into the local scholarships. And if you still have some more time and energy, move on to the national scholarships. The next bullet point talks more about the FAFSA form. So that's the website you're going to go to complete the FSA ID, and then also the FAFSA form. And then finally, to do some additional research, those are some great resources to go to as far as gathering some additional information about colleges. All right. Next slide, please. And finally, here are all of our contacts. If you would like to reach out after this presentation and get a hold of us, there's all of our contacts. I know my college friends would love to hear from you. They're just great resources. They've treated us well, and we hope that you guys take advantage of reaching out to them. That's what they do. They love to hear from you guys, so don't feel like you're bothering them by reaching out to them and touching base with them and asking some of your pertinent questions. All right, so that does it for Haley and I's presentation. Now I'm going to turn it over to our college friends, and I'm going to start with Jamar first. Jamar, you're up. Go ahead and tell us everything you want us to know about St. Charles Community College, and thank you.
So again, thank you, Trevor, for the opportunity. Again, my name is Jamar Washington. I serve as the admissions recruiter at St. Charles Community College. So I'm going to try to be quick and thorough, not take up too much of your time. So I'm going to give you a little brief information about St. Charles Community College. Throughout my presentation, we're going to touch bases with these 4 things. We're going to touch bases with being extraordinary, student success, smart decisions, the experience, and the A+ program. So initially, we are St. Charles Community College. Some of you guys may be wondering, ultimately, what's the community college? Trevor kind of touched bases on that early in his presentation, but to kind of go over it, a community college is basically a college that offers you either associate's degrees or certificates. To Trevor's point earlier, an associate's degree is basically half of a bachelor's degree. So we're going to get you half of the way there to prepare you to transition into those 4-year institutions that we're all excited to join. Most community colleges have a variety of areas that you can study in. They offer small classroom sizes. They have what's called open admissions. To kind of sum that up, open admissions basically means that any student that applies with us, we consider them for admissions. We automatically have to consider you guys for admissions. We have flexible scheduling. So instead of you having to kind of figure out how to make certain things work, we typically have a wide variety of sections and classes that are available to kind of help fit your schedule. And we also offer affordable tuition, as Trevor pointed out before too. So specifically here at SCC, what we offer to help you be extraordinary is here at SCC, we offer over 100 associate's degrees and certificates. We literally have a good number of associate's degrees and certificates that we offer. However, even with that, we do catch some students who already have in their head, like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And we may not particularly have that, that degree offering. So what I tell those students is to already do your research, like Haley mentioned and like Trevor mentioned. It's very imperative that you guys kind of start now with doing your research on those schools that you would like to transfer to, or ultimately those 4-year institutions that you want to go to. When it comes to what you're interested in, like I said, a lot of times I encourage my students to kind of make those connections and do their research with the institutions that they're interested in. And then from there, make sure that those institutions offer exactly what it is that they're looking for. Ask what's called either a pathway or degree plan. A lot of different institutions kind of have different names of it, but kind of get a layout of all of the courses that's required for you to achieve this degree at whatever institution that you're going to. You can bring that back to us, and then from there, we can kind of knock out some of those general ed courses or some of those courses that we offer that are in line with the degree pathway that some of those institutions has. But this is particularly for those students who kind of come to us with those interests, and we don't particularly have that specific program built, but there's always ways to work around it so we can, help you succeed moving forward. Here at SCC, we typically have around 6,000 students each semester. And within that, the good benefit of it is a lot of those students kind of come within that 17 to 21 range. Ultimately, we attract students from all different walks of life. So that's another good benefit of a community college. We're not just, looking for those students coming straight out of high school or looking for those students that are kind of in their 20s. We accept you wherever you are in life. We accept the older students, we accept the younger students. Wherever you are in life, we're here to help you and help you build those skills and build that education to help you move forward. So the good thing about that is that kind of falls in line with the diversity that we have on this campus as well too. Another good benefit is that we offer small classroom sizes. The typical classroom size is around 18 students per classroom. The good benefit of that is a lot of students kind of are already experiencing that now in high school. So that makes it an easier transition from high school to college, because ultimately, you get that one-on-one connection with your professor. You get that ultimate organic, natural vibe in the classroom. And it's not a circumstance where you have to kind of track your professor down via email or wait a couple of days to get a response. Like, you ultimately have that connection and they're to your disposal. We have about 39 countries that are represented on our campus as well too. And ultimately, we are A+ eligible college. So these are all the things that we offer to help students become extraordinary on our campus. As mentioned before, this is our guy, Scooter McCougar, SCC, home of the Cougars there. So another thing that we like to touch bases with is student success. We really like to promote student success. And with that, we have to provide resources to help encourage and support that. So with that being said, we offer ACE tutoring. This is a department that offers services to all of our students for free. Each individual in this department holds a master's in that particular content area, which makes them an expert in that field of study. So we have well-prepared professionals that are there to help you in that regard. We offer personal counseling and support center. Of course, that is to your leisure. If you need that counseling services, please, by all means, use it. Learning accommodations. To kind of touch bases on this quickly, we offer offer learning accommodations, and we have a disability service department. The only thing about our department is that, you know, typically within grade school, a lot of your students' records kind of go with them from school to school. Here, once you come to SCC, in order to receive these services that we have, which are great services, you have to self-identify. So you have to approach this department and let them know that these are the services that you need as a student moving forward throughout your tenure at SCC. We offer career services. We have a wonderful career services department that helps build all of our students tools and resume building and professional skill sets that they would need in order to progress in the professional field. We offer academic advising. So for those students who kind of still need that walkthrough to let them know, like, hey, this is what it takes to get this degree. This is where this degree will take me, things of that nature. We offer those as well too. To Haley's point, because she did mention it earlier, we do offer the opportunity to study abroad. We currently have about 10 students. I think we kind of work partnerships out where at least about 10 students that take the advantage of that opportunity. They study abroad in different countries. So we have a lot of students who love those opportunities. Learning Resource Center. This is where students will be able to connect and collab on a social level, to Haley's point as well too, because a large percent of your college experience is going to be you working socially. So we offer a learning resource center as well too, and an honors program for those individuals who still want to transition into college and challenge themselves academically as well too. We do offer honors program. To the point again about social, about your social experience, to that point, we offer over 50 student organizations. This is very imperative, and I can speak on this from my personal perspective. This is very imperative because it helps you build those social skills and those networking skills. Ultimately, regardless of the profession that you go in or whatever field of life you need to go in, it is always imperative that you know how to network. And joining organizations kind of helps expose you to those necessary social skills that you need to benefit from networking and things of that nature. We are an NJCAA division. We offer men and women's soccer. We offer baseball, softball. We offer cross country, track and field. I feel like I'm missing something. Cross country, track and field, softball, baseball, soccer. No, that's it. We have a wonderful theatrical program as well too. Very, very wonderful. We offer different theatrical events throughout the entire semester. Typically, of course, when it's business as usual, and those are typically free to all of our students. And I believe the students also get free passes for like a +1, if you will. They also get those throughout the semester as well too. So by the time that you guys come, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is business as usual. We can kind of pick up where we left off. It says that we have the SCC Coffee House. That basically, we just recently got us a new Starbucks implemented in our cafeteria, and that's something we're very excited about too. Wake up and get your morning coffee. So that's in our student center, so we're very excited about that as well too. And Trevor mentioned earlier that we do have housing. However, it's student apartments, so it's not to get misconceived as far as us having dormitories. We don't have dorms or residence hall. This is an independent company who has space on our campus. So they're their own business and their own entity. However, it's only for SCC students. It is apartments, so they are ran literally as apartments, but those are only available to SCC students. So that's the good benefit that we have. And if you're interested in any information in regards to that, you can easily email me and I will get that to you. I'm going to quickly go over this, the A+ program, because I know Trevor kind of touched bases on it. The good thing about that is it covers your entire associate's degree. So it'll cover from the moment you start up until the moment that you finish. It does not cover textbooks or any other fees. For example, the idea of the A+ program is to cover anything that any student would have to cover. So if I was going to school and Dan was going to school, ultimately it's to cover whatever expenses that we would both have to, spend. But if Dan is a nursing major and I'm a business major, of course, with him being a nursing major, he's going to have different fees and textbooks that he's going to have to get that's different than what I would have to get. So in that case, it doesn't cover any textbooks or fees. And you can, to Trevor's point, you can start working on your A+ eligibility during your high school tenure. So with that, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to attend the A+ designated high school for at least 2 years. So basically, your high school has to, partner with that and be offering the A+ program. You have to graduate from this school as well, too, with at least a 2.5 or higher. You need to have at least 95% attendance overall from 9th grade to 12th. So they literally look at it from your 9th grade year up until your 12th grade year. So you need at least 95% attendance, and you need to perform at least 50 hours of community service or unpaid tutoring and mentoring services. Lastly, of course, you have to do all of those things to maintain it. But in addition to that, there are some things that you have to expect to continue to work on in order for you to maintain it while you're at SCC or any other school of your choosing. You have to maintain at least a 2.5 while you're here at SCC. You have to complete a minimum of 20 credit hours. This basically means that you're a degree-seeking student, basically saying that, hey, this is the degree that I'm interested in pursuing, and you're taking at least 12 credit hours to pursue that degree. You need to complete at least 67% of the classes that you attempt. And you need to complete all forms that are required for you from the financial aid department as well too. And that's something, I'm glad that I mentioned that. That's also something that needs to be done. You need, in order to receive your A+ scholarship, for those of you who become recipients, you have to fill out your FAFSA. It's a must that you fill out your FAFSA. You will not be awarded A+ if you do not complete your FAFSA. And all of this information is things that we could easily go over again moving forward. So if it's some things that I mentioned that you didn't quite get, or some things you want to touch base with in the near future, you could either reach out to the admissions office in general. You can reach us at admissions@stchaz.edu, or you can contact me directly. My information is jwashington@stchaz.edu. There's my number as well too. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All right.
Thanks, Jamar. Appreciate it. Some great information. All right, Colton, you're up from Missouri Baptist.
Hey guys, Dan, before we get started, can you give me some sharing capabilities? My name is Colton. I've been at MBU for about a year now. I'm a freshman admissions counselor here. So I want to say thank you to Dan and Trevor and Haley for putting this on. It's been really awesome. So before I get started, do you see Missouri Baptist right here? I want to make sure I'm on the right screen. The big Spartacus. Okay, cool. So Missouri Baptist University, just to begin with, let me see here. All right, so let's talk MBU. So MBU is Evangelical Christian Liberal Arts Institution. We believe that faith should be integrated into every aspect of the college experience, whether that is on the athletic field, in the classroom, just all around campus. We believe that that is a tried and true, that is a great college experience. So our current size of total main campus undergraduates is going to be 1,200. So if you look online, sometimes that says like 5,000. That's going to be doctoral, graduate, online, pretty much everywhere, our regional sites. So 1,200 is our main campus undergrad. And we do have a student to faculty ratio of 19:1. So that's pretty small, which is what we love. We love for our professors to get integrated and really know our students as they walk through their 4 years at MBU. So if you don't know, we are located in West St. Louis County. So just 20 minutes west, probably about 15-20 minutes from Calvary, I'm going to guess. So not too far away, but each and every one of our professors here unashamedly proclaims Christianity inside and outside the classroom. So our core purpose at MBU, our main mission is to teach, empower, and inspire students for lifelong learning. So we're big on that, and that's what we love to do. So just a little note here, we were ranked number 7 for Wall Street Journal's top universities for inspiration. So we're pretty happy about that. And we'd love to see you on campus. We are having students come on campus. Our tours are at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock Monday through Friday. So we'd love to see you get on campus. As Haley noted, that is such a big thing, is just to see culture, see their environment, see how everybody interacts with each other. So that is a huge point. Programs of study, I will not touch on all of these at all. I'll just touch over the kind of the schools, 3 big schools at MBU. The business school is one of our larger ones. So some of our new data analytics is new in our business school. So that is a huge aspect, especially in the business world nowadays. So data analytics, but we do have accounting and applied management. Business admin is a big one. Education, we have a large school of education. So this is something we love. This is something we hit on for a lot of students. Grades K through 12, secondary, middle childhood, special ed courses. So child development, there are a ton of aspects to where you can touch on multiple things. And then also we do have a nursing school. So this nursing school is only about 3 to 4 years old. We were recently accredited this past year, full accreditation for the next 5 years. And we're really excited about that. We had 100% job placement coming out of our last graduating class. So we're really excited, 100% pass rate on the NCLEX. So that's the nursing certification test. So we're really excited. We have tons of minors also where you can get that. The MBU admissions process. So this kind of goes in 2 lines, but it actually wraps around after the letter of rec back to the FAFSA. So apply, mobap.edu/apply. That's going to be our application link. It's not going to take you more than 10 to 15 minutes. This is just getting information from you to me, from you to our school, to the admissions counselor. So not taking too long, no application fee, which is awesome. And then no essay. So like I said, it's not non-committal. So pretty simple, pretty easy. And from there, we'll reach out to you about documents. Just kind of an overview of documents though, admissions documents. There's gonna be 3 that we'll need for acceptance. ACT, SAT score. So we take that ACT, we also take the SAT. So a 20 on the SAT or a 1030 on the SAT, sorry. But we'll need those 2 things. The official transcript. So the official transcript, what that means, it comes directly from your school or your counselor directly to us. So that is going to be a 2.0 cumulative GPA. So a 20 on the ACT and a 2.0 cumulative GPA will get you automatically admitted into MBU. We also love a letter of recommendation. This can be from anybody that can just give you a great character reference, but anybody also outside the family. So coaches and teachers, our great guidance counselors are amazing. Pastors, student or youth pastors and stuff like that are also great resources to use. FAFSA opens up on October 1st. I know we kind of already talked about that, but we do have an MBU code. What that basically does is just pushes all the information that you put in directly to us. You don't have to do anything other than just fill that out, add MBU or Lindenwood or St. Charles Community College to the FAFSA, and then it'll get sent directly to all of us. So registration opens in April. So it opens early April. This year we opened in March just because of everything going on. We wanted to get students in, but opens early April. There's a little deposit just so we know that you're invested. We want to save a seat for you in our classes. We want to save a spot for you in each one of our, we want to know that you're invested. So this isn't anything extra. This is just kind of like a little down payment onto tuition. And then resident life. We love our students that live on campus. So we're really pushing resident life because we believe that creates the best student experience to immerse yourself in campus life. We have an housing application for that, and there's also a little bit of a deposit for that also. Scholarships at MBU. So this is our freshman merit scholarships. These are going to be nothing you have to apply for, but something you qualify for. So as you apply to MBU, that is your application for scholarships. And once we get your ACT and GPA, and those are going to be the 2 heavy factors here, is your ACT and GPA. So these aren't really benchmarks, but they're something that you should be around. If you have a lower presidents, if you're looking for that and you have a 3.4, 3.3, but you have a 26 or 25 on the ACT, you're going to qualify for that president's scholarship. And that is a yearly amount given to you each year, no questions asked, as long as you receive a 2.0 or higher. So throughout your years and your semesters. So that is renewable every year for the 4 years that you attend. And that ranges, our yearly amount, our lowest one is $10,000 per year. So which is awesome. And then we do have a full trustee, full tuition scholarship. Only a couple of those are given out per year, and you have to qualify for those by receiving a 30 on the ACT or above with a 3.6. So that qualifies you for an interview. And then from there in February, we will we'll contact you and interview you and based on that. So those are kind of our main scholarships. More scholarships. These are just a couple that I've named out that are from our institution. So you have institution scholarships, you have outside scholarships, which you'll apply for outside of the institution, and then you have FAFSA, so the government aid and everything. So MBU, this is directly from MBU. We do accept the A+ scholarship, not like St. Charles Community College does, but $1,000 per year stacked on top of that freshman merit scholarship. And all of these, like I said, I only named a couple here. Alumni dependent grant, parent guardian went here and receives their bachelor's degree. Ministerial scholarship, if you come here and do Christian ministry as a major or minor, you'll get money stacked on top of that. So start recruiting siblings for your family award, $2,000 per year for the both of you. So these are just a couple. We can really talk these through email or through call. I'd love to chat with you guys. But like I said, financial aid opens at MBU on October 1st. I would love to get you in contact with Destiny Shockley. She is our contact for financial aid. She'll love to work with you through all FAFSA questions and stuff like that, whether it's coming to MBU or anywhere else, okay? Student experience, lastly. So MBU athletics is a huge part of MBU. We have a ton of student athletes. We have 27 NAIA varsity programs and 6 JV programs. So anything from men's and women's soccer, football, men's and women's volleyball, basketball, softball, baseball. We have a ton of sports. Esports and bowling are a couple of ones that aren't of the main normalcy. So that is our athletics, and I would love to get you in contact with the coaches. If interested, I would go to mbuspartans.com. Basically, you'll go up in the right-hand side corner of that web page, and there's going to be a little button that says recruits. Click that recruits button, fill out an MBU prospective athlete form. That information is not only going to go to MBU admissions, but also the coach directly, depending on the sport you chose. So that's just getting information. It should not take longer than 5 minutes. So moving on from there, performance groups and music ministry groups. So this is another scholarship opportunity along with athletics, the merit scholarships. These can be added on top. Something to note, we do keep our MBU athletics and academic scholarships separate. So our performance group and music ministry groups are part of that academic. And you can actually audition for those. Abide, Spirit Wing, Gospel Choir, all of these are great places to plug in and be a part of on campus while earning a couple extra, maybe $1,000 for a scholarship. So I would love to get you in contact with anybody at MBU for that. Intramural sports, we do have intramural sports at MBU. When you're not in the classroom, when you're not in a library studying, you could be wanting to play volleyball, basketball, ultimate frisbee, and flag football. Of course, as of right now, that's a little delayed because of coronavirus, but on a normal year, those are the set group we have for intramurals. Campus organizations, just another way to get involved. We have, I've only named a few here, a few of the popular ones, but there are some outside of this for our campus organizations. So, and lastly, the PERT Coffee House is actually something we hold near and dear to our hearts. Not only coffee, but an actual coffee house to go meet at, to go, just meet with professors and other students. A lot of people hang out here. So it's the largest on-campus coffee house in the state of Missouri. So we love that. But when you come and visit us, you can visit our visit experience page at MBU or mobap.edu. You can sign up and then for a visit experience, and we'll come. You'll come on campus and we'll get you a PERT Coffee House drink on us. So something to look forward to. But how you can reach me, Colton Hernandez at mobap.edu. You can text or call this number. This is my work phone, so 314-392-2297. Just shoot me your name and a question, a quick question. I'm on it all nights or all days of the week. So, and then Instagram experience.mbu. So this is just a great place to keep updated with anything admissions, any updates we have at MBU, any scholarships that we're giving out and everything. So thank you guys for coming on here, and thank you, Dan, Trevor, and Haley.
Thank you, Colton. Thank you. All right, Tim from Mizzou, you're up.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us this evening. I'm Tim with the University of Missouri, also known as Mizzou. Mizzou, we're a large school. We're a large public research university, about 30,000 students. So we are easily, just with my colleagues on the panel here tonight, we would definitely fall on that larger end of things. We're in a way almost kind of like a small city, the campus itself. We draw students from, we're the flagship land grant campus, so about 65% of our students come from the state of Missouri, but we draw students from all across the country and the world. We're located in Columbia, about 2 hours from St. Louis, depending on where you're coming from. St. Charles area, closer to about an hour and a half or so. Columbia is a quintessential college town. It's the fourth biggest city in the state of Missouri, about 120,000 people that live there, not including the college students. So you have college students from Mizzou, Stevens College, and Columbia College. So lots of young people, lots of energy, and lots of convenience, I think. You don't need a car to get around. If you've seen pictures of Mizzou's columns right there in front of Jesse Hall, standing on those columns, you're literally about a 3-minute walk from downtown Columbia. So you just basically, downtown sits just north of Mizzou's campus, across the street, and you're right into the heart of the action. You've got shopping, boutiques, great restaurants, get some Shakespeare's pizza, burgers at Booch's, coffee, ice cream, live music venues, grocery store. So everything that you need is right there if you can't find it on campus. In terms of majors, we have over 300 to choose from. So sometimes, and I would imagine all of my colleagues here tonight, if you're unsure of what it is that you want to study, that's fine. And that's very normal. So we've got resources on all of our campuses to kind of assist you in that career search. The one thing I will say is you can't just wait back and expect to know one day what it is that you want to do. You have to tell people what you're thinking about. You really do have to dedicate some time each week to just kind of tell people what you're thinking about. Take advantage of career resources, take some assessments, do some informational interviewing, things like that. In terms of popularity, our top 5 most popular majors at Mizzou are journalism, business, engineering, health professions, and biology. But as I mentioned, we have quite a bit to choose from in terms of majors. And you can also add some flexibility to that. We have students that double major or earn a minor or 2 minors, which is kind of like just a highly concentrated version, only a few classes where you get a little bit of an extra addition to your diploma, essentially. We have over 600 student organizations as well, so we've got quite a bit for students to choose from. You can continue to do the things that you really enjoyed doing in high school, but we've got a Quidditch team, we've got a concrete canoe club, we've got intramurals, we've got music, theater, student government. So I think there really is something for everyone. I do want to just spend just a minute talking a little bit about Mizzou's application briefly. We are on a rolling admission, which basically means students can apply technically at any time throughout their senior year, starting August 1st. That's my dog. She's shaking to say hello if you heard that. We, like many other colleges, we have now a test optional application process. So we have our traditional admission requirements, including test scores and high school GPA, but for students that haven't had the opportunity to take a standardized test yet, they can apply test optional using their high school transcript. And then we also ask for a personal statement and a resume. So students are going to be reviewed holistically, kind of what Haley was talking about. Whereas our traditional admission requirements, it's if you have this and you have this, you're in. If you're not quite there yet, maybe think about retaking a standardized test or send us a new transcript. We did just announce some new scholarships as well. You can find a lot of this information online just as you start this research process. But also know, we're all going to be good resources regardless of where you are in your college search. So don't feel like, even if you're maybe not necessarily interested in Mizzou specifically, a big school like Mizzou, I'm always happy to just talk about college in general. So we do have in-person visits available with limited capacity. So if you are interested, we're only booking visits about a month out. It's going to be a little bit limited, not going into a lot of buildings on campus or dorms, but you do get to see the rec center and obviously get a chance to talk to some students because I think Trevor talked a little bit about that analogy with buying a car. We want you to read the user reviews too. And those users are the students themselves. So definitely talk to people about college and what you're thinking about and let us know how we can help you. So that's all for me.
I got to unmute. Ben, you're up from Lindenwood. I apologize.
You're okay. I was thinking what you were saying, but I wanted to make sure you got a chance. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here again. It's a pleasure to talk with you all. I hate not being in person. It's so sad. I love interactions and just talking with people. So please come out to campus. We are all, at Lindenwood, we're open for visits. Right now, that's what I wanted to start off with. Just like Mizzou, we have limited capacity. You can bring 2 people with you, but we do have visits Monday through Saturday. You can book one for tomorrow. You know, if you called at 8 a.m., we had a time slot. So please come visit us if you haven't seen us. Lindenwood is located in St. Charles City, and it's right down the road from me, at least. I live in St. Charles, and a lot of you are probably around here too. So if you haven't been to campus, but you're at Calvary Church, and you know, you're like, what's Lindenwood? I know it's here. Please see, because it's them. I really believe that. We are 550 acres. We have 4,100 students. And I believe it's a really good amount of students. You don't know everyone's backstory, but you also really feel like you're in a good, tight-knit community as well. We also have, out of those students, they represent students from 70 plus countries and over 47 states. So students from all over. We have over 44 sports teams, 27 NCAA Division II. So they're very competitive. It's a really good blend of just really easy work. We have rugby, we have golf, we have lacrosse, we have some club sports now that aren't scholarship but still get a lot of interest, like Olympic weightlifting, billiards, just all these sports you can't even think of that you do at college. Our bowling team is fantastic as well. So we also have a lot of different majors for you. So we have over 90 academic programs, and some of those programs branch out into different specific departments. And so one of those most popular ones is business. Our business program is very extensive. It's been around for a long time. Our education program as well is fantastic. And then our political science program is great. It's a really common major around the campus, and then exercise science as well. Some unique programs, fashion business. We also have game design, philosophy and religion, music business. So a lot of unique fine arts degrees at Lindenwood. And then for student organizations, we have 99 student organizations for you, which is a lot for a small school, because we're still considered a small school, and have just under 100 student organizations is definitely a big aspect of the university. And that's 6 fraternities and sororities as well. And again, you can make your own student organization. I think we've all hit on that a little bit. You can be creative. You can have 5 people in it. So that's really cool. Just something to do whenever you're in college. And then just talking about admissions, because definitely a big part of it. So we are holistic, as Haley and Tim hit on a little bit. So our holistic's a little different than Tim's at Mizzou. So we at first review your transcripts from high school. We will look at academic progression. We will look at all of your core courses and look at the specific grades. We'll look at extracurriculars on there, but we are also test optional. So you can choose to send that test score. If you choose to be test optional, we never need a test score. So you don't even have to take one just to send it in for record. We'll never need to see that. We don't have a minimum base GPA when we review those. So it's, again, holistic. That's how that kind of works. I'm happy to talk to you about that individually. I always tell students, if you have around a 2.9 or a 3.0, you're looking good. But there's a lot of wiggle room with holistic. We often do ask for essays, letters of rec from your counselor and teacher, things like that. And then merit scholarships are available for you as well. These are all available for you to see online. You can check all this stuff out. So I want to leave some time for Q&A, but Lindenwood is just awesome. It's definitely a cool place to be. I actually went to MOBAP. It's smaller than Lindenwood. So like, I always like to compare the two. They're all very different. So I think this panel is very unique for you to be a part of, because you have a community college, two small schools, and a Mizzou. And so just ask questions, and yeah, thank you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom. You're right, we're going to open it up here in a second for questions and answers. Did want to remind our families that we will be sending the PDF of the PowerPoint off very soon as we wrap this up, we'll be sending it out so you guys can reference that also. So Dan, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I came away with two major questions. One is for Jamar, and that is the operating hours of the SCC Coffee House. Y'all are close to where I work, and I might need to drop in. The second is if anyone has a great beard scholarship, because I'm thinking about another degree. Why not? Seriously, though, and forgive the bad jokes, we have a couple of questions that have come in, and I'd like to just take those in order. I think I have an idea of who may be answering, and so I'll reference that. I may call on a couple panelists specifically, but of course, panelists, if you feel like you have some wisdom to share, you're welcome to chime in. And then to all of our guests, you are welcome to continue to ask questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. We are going to wrap up at 8 o'clock, but I'll try to keep things moving along. Right now we have 5, and I have faith that we can get there. So a friend asks, this would be Colton and maybe Trevor. Let's start with you two and then see if we need to go outside. But they have a question. Their high school allows a calculus class taken in high school through MOBAP for college credit. And the question is, can that credit possibly transfer to a different college, or will it only be accepted, at MOBAP? And you can imagine there's other students with a similar situation. So what can you speak into that question?
Yeah, my answer to that is basically yes. As of right now, what I know is that whether it's a college algebra course, calculus, English composition 1 or 2, those courses can transfer over between colleges. If this particular student is taking this calculus course from Missouri Baptist and they want to apply to Lindenwood, that will transfer over as long as you pay that credit, you pay the dues, you pass the class. So, yes.
And thank you, Colton. I'll answer that from a dad standpoint. So my daughter did take a class through MOBAP, and working with Jamar and some of his friends at St. Charles Community College, what I would encourage families to do is to reach out to those colleges and find a good contact, because every college is not going to call that class the same thing. One college may call it Math 124, one may call 135, some of them may count for this associates but not the other associates. So I would just encourage families to reach out to the schools that your student is thinking about going to, keeping those emails, because sometimes it takes multiple emails to ask the right question and find the right person. But just keep those handy, because yes, it is very beneficial to take those college credit classes in college. But you also got to, that's one part of it. The second part of it is the college that your student is going to go to, what are they actually going to count it for? And you want it to count, obviously, for the highest level of class as you can. So sometimes it does take some extra emails to nail down exactly what college A and B are going to call it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. This next question, this is a really important question. It comes from a friend of mine, and this is the kind of person I would love to be writing, please give the most money possible to my friend kind of letter. She's asking, what about special needs people? So Colton, Tim, Jamar, and Ben, we don't have a ton of time, but if you would, at your school, would you give us a sense of who someone wanting to know about special needs, whether that's admissions or available programs or resources on campus, what would be the best place for them to start getting that kind of information?
Go ahead, Jamar.
Okay. So like I mentioned in my presentation, we do have a disability services department. And like I mentioned earlier, in order for you to receive those services, which they're very resourceful, they will accommodate you in any capacity necessary. Like when I first started, I did like a tour of that particular department just so I could learn all that I needed to learn, so I'd be able to, relay information such as instances like this. And like when I kid you not, like I was at awe at all of the different toys that they had, all of the different just technology that was in there to help accommodate for any student with almost any special needs or disability. Like they literally have the accommodations there. It's just all a matter of you self-identifying. You walk up to those services, we'll walk up to that department, and they're located in our student center. They're easily accessible. You walk into that department, let them know you need those services, and the director of that department will be more than happy to help you. Those services go from you needing help in the classroom, to you needing help with certain tests, to even you needing help with registration. The director of that department will even sit down with you and register you for the classes that you need. So ultimately, it's just a matter of you taking that initiative, letting them know you need those services, and moving forward from there.
Yeah, I would really echo Jamar. I think it's just about having a conversation and letting each and every individual school know like what you need and what you're looking for. Hey, here are some services that I had received in the past that I'd like to continue to receive. But in addition to that, what else can your campus offer in terms of opportunities? So I think that's really the best piece of advice is I think, maybe not to speak for everyone, but like start with one of us. Like we may not know the answer to every single question, but we tend to know who to put you in contact with to answer specific questions. So that would be my bit of advice from my perspective.
All right, thank you both. One thing I hear in that, and I've heard consistently, and even in my friendships with Trevor and Haley, that I've been learning that I didn't know when I went to school, is how relational the whole process can be, and that there are people who want to help. So moms, dads, students, that's a really important lesson, is talk to people and ask the questions that you have on your mind, on your heart. This next question is actually one I'm not familiar with, and so I'm going to throw it out there generally. They ask, what is the Common app, and is that able to apply for multiple schools at one time? What do y'all know about that?
Okay, so,
No,
Tim,
go
are
ahead.
you going?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, generally, yes, it's the Common App is its own platform. You can use that to fill out an application that can be sent out to different schools throughout the country. I don't know if it's international. Somebody else can answer that if you're looking at schools internationally. Now, throughout the country, though, we accept Common Application. I don't know about the other 3 schools, but you can use your first Common App that you complete to send out to multiple schools. It is more lengthy because it covers a lot more ground than our own individual applications. So do know that it has you do a college essay on there as well. So you have that slotted and it goes to every school who needs it. And so it's definitely helpful. At Lindenwood, we just encourage you to use our application because it's free. There's no essay. And if you're interested in Lindenwood, just do our programmed application already. But yes, the Common App is definitely applicable to others.
That's really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Ben. The next question is, I think, a really good one. And Jamar, Trevor, you may have the most insight here. Question from Dale is, the A+ applicable to only Missouri colleges, or can it be applied, used, or find it usefulness out of state?
Good question. So as far as my knowledge goes, this is not something that kind of takes the principle of like the Common App. The A+ scholarship is not something that can be utilized nationally. As far as I know, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it's only useful in the state of Missouri, and I believe in Illinois, some parts of Illinois, I believe. But just to kind of give some perspective, because I believe Colton mentioned it as well too, with the when it comes to the A+, you're typically going to get the full value of an A+ scholarship at a community college or at any technical school. That's where you're going to get the full value of it. To the point that I mentioned in my presentation, an A+ scholarship, if you come to SEC or any community college or technical school, it'll cover your entire associate's degree within that full value. If you were to, initially jumpstart and go to a 4-year institution, like Colton mentioned, they kind of give you their own equivalent of the A+ scholarships, hypothetically, like Trevor mentioned, ultimately it'll cost roughly around $4,000 to complete your 2 years. And Colton mentioned that, I believe, on top of another scholarship. But if you come to them with the A+ scholarship, they only give you about $1,000. I believe you mentioned, in addition to another scholarship you can potentially receive. But just to kind of give you some perspective, if you were to take that scholarship, come straight to a technical school or community college, you'll get that full value of it versus trying to utilize that particular scholarship at a free institution. But ultimately, it's best utilized in the state of Missouri and Illinois at either a community college or technical school.
That's really, really helpful. Thank you. Thank you. It also sounds like a really great place too, that it's worth asking. If you qualify in Missouri, but you're going out of state, yeah, you might as well throw that out and see what happens. Let's see. This is a really good question, and it's kind of COVID relevant. I know a few of you talked about the test optional method of application and basically ACT and SAT not being part of your profile. So the question comes, if I had my ACT scores automatically sent to a school when I registered and took the ACT and put those school codes in, can I still choose test optional when I apply? And I think if I could add to this question a little bit, what's the best way to ask about applying test optional, even if scores have already been sent?
Yeah, I think I would say that's a great question to just direct at least your short list of schools that you're considering. I know I can't speak for every college out there. At Mizzou, even if you have sent test scores, if you mark you want to be evaluated test optional, we're going to ignore that test score in the evaluation process. So I think it really comes down to kind of just asking for some clarification on, hey, what does your process look like? Maybe trying to decide between applying with a test score or without. Another really good follow-up question is, are you test optional for admission and for scholarships? Some scholarships will require a test score. So if I apply test optional now, can I later send test scores? So there's really so much that has been thrown up into the air with COVID. So colleges have been trying to work all summer to put some policies together, and we're kind of just settling in for the most part in explaining how it will all work. So I just recommend, even if you copy 5 colleges on one email and just send a little email blast out, and we'll all get back to you with our answers. But a lot of us do have like everything kind of outlined on our admissions website as well. That gets into some of the fine print regarding test optional.
Tim, that's really helpful.
Dan.
Thank you.
I was just going to add, we'll do the same thing that Tim said they'll do at Mizzou. If we get those and you tell us test optional, we will void those out. We'll keep them on file, but we will evaluate you accordingly to being test optional.
Ben, thank you. Yeah, that's really good to hear. I've got a lot of friends. Actually, if you hear any loud noises outside of where I'm sitting, I have a group of college friends connected to our church that are playing volleyball right now. And their experience has been, schools have been very helpful in this time. And so, yeah, Ben, Tim, thank you. That's great wisdom. I think last question based on time. It's a great question, comes from Tanya. And she asks, how do sports play into the admissions process? Meaning, if someone is intending to sign to play with a college, should the student go ahead and do all the admissions work now while waiting, hoping to be signed down the road? In other words, should they stick to the same process that we've outlined here? Colton, what do you think? And then anybody else who wants to chime in?
Yeah, so having 27 NAI varsity programs, this is a big question. There's basically 2 processes when you want to play at a college. There's going to be the recruitment process, and then there's going to be the admissions process. You have to go through the admissions process no matter what. That is the most important thing. The recruitment process is going to be directly related to the coach. They're going to offer the scholarship. They're going to know what they really need. What if they don't need a point guard this year? They need a center. What if they need, left guard instead of a tackle? So they're going to really understand where their team is at. do the admissions process. We always say do the admissions process first. Sometimes the coach is going to wait a little bit longer to offer. It'd be best for you to be admitted, to be accepted, to be ready to go for classes, and then coach say, all right, I'm going to offer you. But if coach was waiting and you didn't go through that process, it might be too late to get those transcripts. Nothing's too late, but it might be a little bit more of a rush to get that FAFSA and everything. We really push to start the admissions process before anything else. I'm sure a lot of the other universities also do this, who are heavily athletic. And in the recruitment process, something that I was a student athlete, so make sure you take control, have tough conversations with the coach, get in contact with the coach, have as much contact as you can, whether it's email or sending film to him or her. That's a huge part of it, is because there might not be any games this fall or games this spring, maybe even some practice film, maybe even you going out to your backyard and shooting, 10 threes in a row. I don't know, something just to help him or her just progress you through that recruitment process. But back to the question, yes, do the admissions work, because you can get recruited, but if you're not through the admissions process, you won't be accepted. So get that admissions work done.
Oh, that's really helpful. And y'all, we have nailed the time commitment that we set out. We are at about 90 seconds left, and I can't thank you each enough. To Ben, Jamar, Tim, and Colton, thank you. Thank you for your evening. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your school. One of the things that every participant today will get a chance to do is fill out a survey at the end. It's going to ask, well, that is if I set this up right. I am an amateur webinar person, but if I did it right, you're going to be asked what was really helpful information for you, what questions did you have remaining, and would you like any of these panelists to contact you directly, which is a tremendous opportunity to have a further conversation and a personal one. If you happen to be watching the recording of this, you will be receiving a PDF, like Trevor mentioned, of the presentation, which has everybody's contact information at the end of it. I can't encourage you enough to make use of these wonderful people as resources. My friends, Haley and Trevor, this was your dream. What would you like to say before we go?
I'm going to say thank you so much for everyone who participated and for the reps. You guys were really great, so thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you, obviously, to our reps that joined us, and thank you to the parents and students that gave up their time to do this. It's so very important, and I just encourage you to invest some time into this. Just don't do it kind of willy-nilly. Invest some time and use some of the resources that our friends encourage you to use tonight, and that we're talking about in that PowerPoint. I think it'll give you some good direction on this college planning process. So good luck.
All right. There is a comment that just came in. Becky, she says, this was awesome. Thank you all. And I can't think of a better place to end. Thank you all truly. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and we'll send out the information for links and the recording here in a few days. Take care, everybody.